Hey folks, and welcome back to the Mortgage Farmer here at the Halifax Hilton. It's been a little while since we've been down here. We don't come out here a whole lot in the wintertime once duck season ends. By the way, you see, had a little luck this past year. We killed more ducks this year than I think we'd ever killed here at this particular farm. It was a good year. We were excited about that. But it's time to start getting ready for turkey season, but more importantly, we're always in a season where we're kind of preparing for deer hunting and things like that. Today, we've got another DIY project for you. So we're going to talk today, and first of all, some people can say this is an interesting topic. I think that there will be people that don't like this. There will be people that love this. There will be pros and cons to both sides of it. I'd love your comments. Put your comments down in the bottom. Tell me what you think. Understand that every situation is a little different and every location is a little bit different. Here in eastern North Carolina, we don't have the regimented deer movements that other parts of the country have. We also, here in North Carolina, are allowed to feed corn, and we do. There's a lot of reasons for that. We kill very few deer directly over the corn, but it allows us to pattern them a little bit better. Anyway, today, DIY, we're going to make a feed or deer, corn or protein or whatever you want to put in it, trough. I have 8 or 10 of those here on the farm. We started many years ago. Maybe I'll put a picture in right here while I'm talking, but we started many years ago, and I saw a video about taking a 55-gallon or 50-gallon blue plastic barrel, cutting it in half and turning those into feed troughs. Kind of a cheap way of doing that. It didn't work as well for us. It didn't last as long, but we've got a system down now with our feed troughs here. We know exactly what we need. We know the materials. Here at the farm, we've got scraps. We've got scrap wood. We've got scrap roofing tin. We've got scrap wire mesh. We've got all those things laying around here, so we can do them pretty cheaply, but that's what we're going to do today. So I want you to come along with me and follow along as we start into building and show you how to build, or at least how we build, a DIY food trough. So what we want to do to get started on this is first you're going to need, your supplies. In this particular case, I build these out of 2x8s. If you want to make it a little bit deeper, you can use a 2x10. If you don't need to go that deep, you can use a 2x6. Doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. That's the thing about DIY. Do whatever works for you. Do whatever you've got laying around. But I have already gone, because I didn't have any extras, I have already gone and purchased a 2x8 by 10. Now the reason I do 2x8 by 10, you could also do 2x8 by 12. 2x8 by 10. That means that it will be 3 feet long and 2 feet wide. We don't want to go any more than 2 feet wide because most of the wire mesh that we have around here is 24 inches wide. It works perfectly. So we're just going to make a 2x3 box, and then on the bottom of that box we will put that wire mesh. It's got to be mesh that's small enough so that the corn won't fall through. We'll put the wire mesh on it. We will then build a frame around it. Sometimes I have put 4 legs, 1 on each corner. Sometimes I will put 2 2x4s, 1 at each end, and kind of let it stand up that way, and then put a 2x4 across the bottom this way to hold it up. We've done it any way. You can do it any way that you want to do it. Just depends on what we've got. If I've got enough 2x4s here that are 6 feet tall, I'll put 1 on each corner. So I'll have 4 6-foot 2x4s that go on the 4 corners. Once we get around to building the roof, we'll show you that. But we'll put some people will do like an old shed roof. I have done a couple of those. It doesn't work as well because invariably, whichever side is the high side, it gets rained on. We typically do our standard pitched roof like that. We use just whatever roof and tin we've got laying around. We'll make it work. It works well. First thing I've got to do right here with my 2x8. Now, the one thing I did that I always do, and you guys may do that too, when I go to the hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever you happen to go, I almost always carry with me my little portable 20-volt cordless saw. That enables me to, in the blink of an eye, to take this 2x8 by 10, cut it in half to 2x8 by 5. It fits perfectly in the bed of the truck. Don't have to worry about a thing. The reason you cut it in 5s is because that gives you a perfect 2-foot and 3-foot section off of each of the 5-footers. So you have 2 3-foot sections, 2 2-foot sections. That makes your perfect box. Let's go ahead and cut this up. I'm going to cut it up, and then we'll get it squared up. We'll put our box together, and then we'll go from there. Watch me as we go along. One of the things that many times that my helpers don't like that I do, and I do it just because, as I said before, in a DIY project, this is not Better Homes and Gardens, or in this case, Better Cabins and Food Plots. This is DIY. We're using what we have available to make it work. But I will say that my helper, otherwise known as my son, often dislikes it when I do a project, and in that particular project, I use whatever screws I've got. And obviously, I've got, you can't see that, I don't think, but I've got some T25s. I've got some regular Phillips. I've even got a square head from some of the deck that I built at home that I had some left over. We just use whatever we can find and whatever we've got. So a lot of times when we're taking stuff apart, my son, helper, doesn't love the fact that I may have used multiple screw heads in whatever project, and sometimes it might take a little bit longer if we're taking those things apart. You guys may have also noticed that I like this yellow stuff here. I'm not sponsored by DeWalt. It's one of those things that there may be some now that are just as good. I believe there's a red one that's out now that a lot of people are using that they thoroughly enjoy, and it does a great job. But the cost in these things are the batteries. And since I have accumulated a stock of batteries, it makes no sense for me to go and switch brands, because then I got to start with all new batteries again too. So as long as these are working, I'm going to continue using them. Once again, the same DeWalt. I've got the 3 heads. So whatever screw I happen to use, I've got the head that I need to fill it for it right here. So let's put this thing together. Again, 3-foot by 2-foot. Okay, we got our mesh cut and laid up here. We're going to tack it into place now. And I understand we're going to use just old time, 10 roofing nails, but that's not the finished product on this. It'll pull through. I'll show you what we're going to do as we get closer to the end on how we're going to fix that so that it doesn't push through. So what we've done to take care of this is we've just built things right here that we will put on the end, and we will nail it down that way. If you don't do it that way, there is not enough nails that you can put in this to keep it from pulling out. What happens is when you put 150 to 200 pounds of corn or protein inside of this, the nails will not hold. They will come out at the seams. So we just build us a little liner around it, and then that kind of tightens everything down into place. So let's put these on. So what we will do now, we will take this box and let's come up here and we'll talk. We're going to take this box and we will now put legs on either end of it. Like I said, if I've got the 2x4s, then I will do 4 legs because it just makes it easier and it's a little more stable. Let's see if we've got them. When you're doing DIY and you're doing it on the cheap like we're doing right here, I want to spend as little money as possible on this using scraps and whatever. Well, in this particular case, I don't have 4 6-footers. So we'll go to plan B, which is perfectly fine. I do have 2 10-footers, so I will cut 6 feet, and then I'll have 4 foot left over, and 6 feet and 4 foot left over, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that. Obviously, what we're going to do is make a triangle at the bottom so that it's held up that way, and then we would just put our legs in the center on each end of it, and it'll work just fine. The main thing is it needs to be 6 feet, because if it isn't, by the time you put your roof on it and you let your roof hang over, you don't want the height of the roof, you know, much lower than somewhere right in here, because you don't want that bothering the deer. You really don't want it in their line of sight as they're walking up to the trough. So that's the reason we do it that way. Okay, let's stick them on. You can see now that we've put the legs on and we've got the legs exactly right. The reason I did the legs at this height, this is 16.5 inches from here down. By the time we go and put something underneath the bottom right there, we'll be at roughly the 18-inch mark that I like to be on these. But what we're getting ready to do now is just put these legs on just like this. Once I get them on, I'll cut them square and we'll be good from that standpoint. So now what we're gonna do is put these 4 legs on, and then we'll be ready to go to the next step. Okay, now what we will do is run a leg across the bottom of each of these, tying them all together. It'll be perfectly fine. And once we do that, then we'll move on to the roof. Keeping up with the theme of we use what we got. Here's some of the decking boards. As a matter of fact, these decking boards went to go with these screws that we're showing you, but I just cut this to the right length. We'll just set it on here, and this will be our foot. Simple and easy. That's the point when you're doing DIY. We're not trying to be absolutely perfect. And if you want to be perfect, if you want to cut it exact, if you want to measure everything perfect, cut it exact, buy all new lumber, absolutely do that. This is a great project. Use what you want to use. The main thing is we're creating something, we're having fun doing it. It's going to ultimately, I'm going to end up having about $15 in this thing, maybe $12, because I paid $11 for the 2x8. You know, everything else is scrap. It works perfectly. And with the price of corn, I buy mine. I do not buy my corn by the bag. I buy it by the bushel, and I buy it in bulk. I have 12 55-gallon drums. I load them on this trailer that I'm using as a wood holder. I load them on there. I go to the local grain bin, and I pay the guy whatever the going rate is per bushel for corn. It's way cheaper than buying it by the bag. And then when we couple that with using this, again, 150 pound bag of corn will last 6 weeks for this thing. Or if you're going to feed protein pellets in the summertime or in the spring or whatever, same thing. It'll last a lot longer, and it keeps it up off the ground. Okay. I don't know if you can tell, but it's raining. It's just started raining. I am going to pause the camera. You've seen what I've done on this side. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Once I get the whole frame part of it finished, then we'll move on to putting a roof on it, and we'll go from there. But that may not be today, because you look what we've got coming. So we will finish this up shortly. Okay, it quit raining. It got a little bit chilly, so I put a jacket on, but we're right back at it. As you will see, I have now finished the legs. You just kind of see how that looks right there. I finished the legs. The distance doesn't really matter. It's 24 inches wide, so I just made the legs at about 26 inches so that it's good and stable. So the next thing that we're going to work on is the roof. So let's see what we can do here with the roof. what we're going to do, I'm going to move the camera over here so you can see me a little bit better. But the way we're going to work on the roof is what we're going to do, again, DIY, use what you have. So I have a bunch of decking boards. I'm going to take the decking boards and put them up on the top. I'm doing this so you can see it. I'm going to put these up on the top, one on each side, and then we will make our A-frame roof. It will not have much pitch. We just want just enough pitch so that it will not puddle on top. And we'll do that, and we'll come right back to it. So stick with me. I'm going to cut these at 48 inches, and then we're going to attach them to the 2x4 there and go from there. So what we're going to do for these side pieces, they're 48 inches long, got them here, and as you can see, all I have done is cut them with a little bit of a pitch to it. We will put one up on either end, and that will give us just enough pitch to do what we want to do. And then we're going to, obviously, we're going to run our purlins. Again, I've already said it about 14 times, but DIY. Use what you got, have fun with what you got. I can assure you when we're done, it will be a fully functional trough, and you'll enjoy it. Watch this. There's the first one up. Now let's put the second one on. Okay, we have got those up now. You can see what it looks like if you look down on it from there. That's what we've got there. Everything is taken care of with that. What we're gonna do next is put our purlins up there. And in this case, there's just some more 4-foot long decking boards that we'll use for the purlins. We've got the purlins up there now. I need to screw them down, but the purlins are on there. So we are approaching a finished product here. Let me see if I can show it to you. So you've got your purlins in your roof up there. It's 5 feet. So we got a little bit of overhang on either side, and we'll do one on this side, one on the other side. So what I've done, I've just moved over. I'm actually standing on the tailgate of the truck so that I can get over here to it a little bit easier. But I've got my 2 ridge caps. Just put those right up there. We will put a couple nails in them, and we'll be all done. So we've got them all on there. While we're up here on the top, let me let you take a look. And you can see, sorry about that, you can see, is it perfect? Well, it's perfectly fine, if that's the way you want to look at it. So I had all these extra spare parts here, $12, $15 in it at most. I'll save probably $12 every time I fill it up with corn or protein pellets, just from the loss from dumping those things on the ground. I hope you have enjoyed this. You can be much more professional about it. Again, you can do 4 legs on each corner. You can do 2 like I did. You can make it a 4x2 box or 3x2 box, whatever works better for you. The point here is that I thought it would be fun. I'm going to take you around right now and show you a handful of the various troughs that I have built over the years and some of the differences in them. So let's go take a look at some of those before we wrap this one up completely. So the trough that you see right behind me, you've seen that one in some other videos. I'll post a picture right here of showing you one of the visitors that we had in that particular food trough. We are here. This is closer to the cabin. If you'll notice, I built this one a little bit differently. This is a cool one. This was one of the first ones that I built, and I built the base. I built the box just like we talked about. I had leftover 2x10s from a deck that I had taken down, and I made the box. And if you'll notice, I've got 4x4 posts that are down there. You see what I'm talking about there? We've got 4x4 posts, and then I used 2x4s to go up to the top. But the cool part about this one, I did this one a little bit differently. This particular one, instead of having one solid bottom, I made this one so that the bottoms actually come out. I'm not going to pull it up because it's a little sticky, but you can see there's two that you can actually pull out and take out of there. So I have enjoyed that one. That's one of the ones we've done. I've got several different designs, but we'll talk about that here shortly as well. Let's go look at the next one. So here we are at a location that we call the North Tower. The reason is because back behind me, there is a tower stand, and this is the northernmost portion of the property. But this particular portion of the property remains wet. Look behind me and you see all that mud right there. Well, what we've done here is I will real quick and made a little feed trough for this one. It doesn't have a roof on it, but instead of a 2x8 or a 2x10, we just used decking boards for this one. And again, whatever you've got will work for you. But we throw that one together. The deer travel through here. There is a cutover to the north. There is an older cutover to the south. They traverse back and forth between them. And by the way, from the tower stand back behind me, if you can see that, it's 110 yards to right here. So when we see these deer crossing in here, we're at 110 yards. I'll stick right here in the video, maybe the picture of the deer that we caught in here that was very special, and you'll see what I'm talking about. As you see the picture, I'll put it up on the screen right now. We had a lot of fun in here. So this is just one of the little unique ones that I have made. Let's go to the far eastern end of this particular food plot. It is from the tower stand is 110 yards to where I'm sitting on the four-wheeler, but east in the other direction, you can see the tower stand. The food plot goes 165 yards to the far end of the from the tower there. So all told, we've got, oh gosh, 280, because we've got another 30 yards behind me that you can't see, but we've got maybe 280, 290 yards, and it's maybe 20 yards wide. So we don't plant this in down here because it stays wet constantly. Let's go look at the other one. So now we're at the far east end of the North Tower food plot that we're looking at, and you see I've got one back here behind me. This one, once again, whatever we've got is what we use. In this particular case, there's decking boards on the bottom, but this one is interesting. So where I live in Cary, they were putting in a new water line. And when they deliver those on a tractor trailer, they come and they're kind of chocked together using 4x4s, but they're true 4-inch by 4-inch rough wood. Well, they just threw all of those away and they were laying in the ditch. So I went and picked them up, and there was probably 20 or 25 of them. So I have used those for several of the projects that I have done on here from time to time. So I just used those 4x4s. Notice this is another one where I used 4x4s on each corner and then put my A-frame roof on there. But it's all a function of using what you have. One more, it's the same basic design. You'll see that this is the same basic design. I've got the mesh in the bottom. In this case, I used pieces of decking board to run across the bottom side to side. I will say I had to come back and reinforce it because since I did this one a little different than the one you just watched me build, the corn would tend to leak out around the edges because the wire mesh stretched a little bit. So I had to go in and reinforce that. So these are two of the various ones. They're all about the same. I have several on our other farm, which is less than a mile away, but I'm not going to drive over there just to show those to you. Those were the ones that were built with 55-gallon plastic drum. And those are the ones that we're going to be replacing. But what we'll do is the one that we've already gotten built, we will use the forks on the tractor, we will load it up, and we will just drive it over to that property. We will lay it down, we will pick up the old one and bring it back to the cabin where we'll be able to use the materials to probably build another one just by replacing the barrel with the mesh and the box that I've created. So let's finish this up and let's get back into the video. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I don't ask often enough. I probably should ask more often. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Please tell me what you think. Give me your comments down in the comment section below. I would love to hear about any of your cool DIY ideas that you've had for doing something like a food trough or something different. I've done all kinds of cool things, you know, with hanging barrels in trees with winches to let them up and down. I've done all kinds of stuff like that. This just seems to be the easiest. They're easy to fill. They're easy to use. I've enjoyed doing it. I want to say making this one, I think I've now got 10 on the property. I have done the first handful that I did with a shed style roof, and it's easier. Maybe didn't work quite as well, so I've started going to the A-frame roofs on all of these things. Anyway, I have thoroughly enjoyed doing it. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. Tell me what you think. Show me some of yours. Throughout the video, I think you've seen, as I've plopped in here in a few places while I was working on this, some of the pictures. I remember early on, I had someone tell me, well, you won't, the big deer just won't come to a trough. Well, I will tell you, in many cases, it may take a year for them to get used to it, but I've got a lot of pictures with big deer with their noses in those feed troughs. Again, we don't hunt directly over those troughs. They are more to help pattern the deer and, like I said, to keep the corn up off the ground. When corn is $3 a bushel, like it was 15 or so years ago, it's not that big a deal. My deer antler head that we had here as a prop just kind of fell over. This, by the way, is the biggest 8-pointer that I've ever killed with my bow. Wonderful story that goes along with that. But when it was $3 a bushel, it was simple and easy. You didn't worry about it. But now that corn, when you buy it in bulk like I do, is $7, $7.25, or gosh, this season with all that's been going on, and if you watch The Mortgage Farmer and some of my other channels, I've talked about tariffs and what they're doing, but I don't know what corn's going to be coming up this summer and fall when we get our first bulk delivery. We usually do 2 bulk purchases, and we buy maybe 3,000 pounds each time. Like I said, I've got a bunch of 55-gallon steel barrels that the lids come off that we store those in, and we buy it that way. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've had a great time. I can't wait to see you right back here at The Mortgage Farmer at the Halifax Hilton. See you later.